Howdy everyone, it's Sam. I hope you're doing really well. If you're new around here, hope I can get you to consider liking the content and subscribing to the channel. And if you are a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. The 2021 Women's Rugby League World Cup kicks off Wednesday morning, Australian Eastern Standard Time. And I'm really looking forward to seeing some brand new players, some brand new teams going around, in particularly Brazil, and then seeing how Australia, New Zealand, and the host nation, England, go about in trying to get to the final and then winning the whole goddamn thing. So let's get stuck into the tips for week one of the Rugby League Women's World Cup. Wednesday, 1:30 in the morning, Australian Eastern Standard Time, we see the first game of week one of the Women's Rugby League World Cup. England host Brazil from Leeds Headingley Stadium, and there are no odds for this contest. And some of the things coming out for Brazil. This is their first World Cup appearance. Their first ever international was in 2018, where they defeated Argentina. And now they find themselves in a World Cup 4 years later, having only ever played the one game. Yes, they had a warm-up practice game against France the other day in which they lost 16 points to 4. But to see Brazil in a rugby league World Cup, whether it be men or female, this is a pretty momentous occasion. And for England, there's some stalwarts in this team, man. This is their third World Cup as England. In the year 2000, Great Britain, made up of Ireland and England and Scotland, I believe, made it to the grand final of that World Cup in the year 2000. Alas, they did not win. They lost. They went down to New Zealand, and in 2007 they exited, and they were simply known as England from 2007 with a debut game against France. And since that time, England have made the semi-finals on two occasions, in 2008 and in 2017. So they haven't been able to get to the final as England, and this is definitely their best chance without a doubt. Some of the stats for these ladies as well. There's a few ladies: Jodie Cunningham, Amy Hardcastle, Vicky Molyneux, and Emily Rudge. Those four ladies in particular, they play critical roles on the paddock. They play halfback, they play wing. Emily Rudge plays in the lock position, and she is the captain of England, Emily Rudge. Those ladies have been there since at least 2007. So four of those ladies have been in this squad for about 15 years, 14 years, and they have been a part of every World Cup pretty much since 2008. So there's a little bit of experience there. And this team is made up mostly of St. Helens players. And then there's York and Leeds players that make up the rest as well. From the previous World Cup, there are only four backing up. So it's brand new territory for most of these ladies in the England side, but more so for Brazil, which is such a fascinating story, man. So just for a little bit more on Brazil, only two players who played in that 2018 test match against Argentina, their first ever and only real big top tier match since. Only two of those players who played in that game are going to be appearing in this World Cup game for Brazil. So totally brand new territory, but I cannot wait to see how these ladies go about. It was kept to 16 points to 4 against France the other day. And I see that they're doing a war cry of their own, I think, Brazil. So I'll be up to watch England versus Brazil Wednesday, 1:30 in the morning. But I've got to tip England to win this one, 13 plus. And it is a double header, of course, out there at Leeds Headingley Stadium. And we've got Papua New Guinea versus Canada happening. And this game is kicking off at approximately 4:30 a.m. On Wednesday morning. So just a few hours, obviously, almost straight away after the conclusion of England versus Brazil. And this is going to be a really interesting game. So we've got Papua New Guinea, who are lower on the list by comparison to Canada. Canada, they had their first World Cup appearance in 2017, and they made the semi-finals, which is fantastic. And then Papua New Guinea, well, the Orchids, I should say, This is their second World Cup appearance, and they're captained by Elsie Albert. And if you don't know who Elsie Albert is, you will by the end of this game. She has been a massive figure for not just Papua New Guinea, but also the St George Illawarra Dragons for the past couple of seasons of the NRLW. And so I think this is going to be a really close game. The Orchids, yes, they went down 64-6 against the Prime Minister's 13, but they were not they were playing without Elsie Albert and a couple of other players there too. And for the Canadian Ravens, they are called. So we've got the Orchids versus the Canadian Ravens. Canada, this is their second World Cup appearance. Obviously, they made it to the semis in 2017. And ladies like Nina Bowie, Sabrina McDade, who is the halfback for the Ravens, Megan Pakulis, they are the only players backing up from that World Cup appearance from 2017. Oh, sorry, I correct myself. Liz Steele and Nat Tam are also backing up. So they've got 5 ladies that are backing up from that 2017 World Cup appearance. But the big news, one of the biggest bits of player transfer movements in this Women's Rugby League World Cup is New Zealand Rugby League women's legend Laura Mariu represented New Zealand from the year 2000 to 2018, and she gets into the Canadian side due to her mother having some Canadian bloodline, and so Mariu is an awesome addition to this Ravens side. She captained New Zealand in 2017 World Cup, captained them in 2013. I might need to be corrected on that, but in any event, Mariu is a New Zealand Kiwi Ferns legend, and she's jumping over to the Ravens to give them a boost and maybe even make the final. So the Ravens, they are a smoky to get to the final. I do think this is going to be close, though. I think this is going to be a fascinating contest, actually. Papua New Guinea versus Canada. So I'm going to tip Canada. I think there's just a little bit more continuity in the Ravens outfit, especially with Sarah McDade, Sabrina McDade, I should say, in at halfback. I think the Ravens are going to win this one 1-12 on Wednesday morning. Then Thursday, 4 a.m., we see the first game of the Group B, and we have New Zealand versus France from YNER Community Stadium out there at York. New Zealand versus France. For France, this is their 3rd World Cup appearance. Their captain, Alice Varala, however, has been there since 2008. She is the most capped French player in this outfit. She's been there since 2008 with over 25 caps to her name, and she is obviously the captain. They've only ever won one World Cup game. They made it in 2008, they made it in 2013, but because their 2013 campaign was winless, they did not qualify for that 2017 Women's Rugby League World Cup. 8 players from the French side. They are players that have only made their debut for France since the year 2021. So there's still some really young legs throughout this Chooks outfit, and I think France are going to be in for a really tough time, man, because this New Zealand outfit, the last time that we saw them play, they took on Tonga in that big return to Mount Smart Stadium match, and they flogged Tonga by about 54 points to 6 or something to that nature. And they're going to be boosted more by an additional player that did not play in that game, and she is a Brisbane Broncos NRLW champion. Amber Hall is going to be taking her place in this squad, and this is just going to absolutely ensure that the Kiwi Ferns, they're going to absolutely destroy France this weekend, in my opinion. I think this is going to be at least a 20 plus points victory to the Kiwi Friends Against France from YNER Community Stadium out there at York. And the final game of week 1 and the second game of the group pool of Group B is Australia versus the Cook Islands. It is a doubleheader out there at YNER Community Stadium. And the Cook Islands, they made their debut in a World Cup in 2003 and appeared in 2017. And in between 2003 and 2017, they weren't a part of the mix, unfortunately. And their overall record in World Cups is 3 wins, 5 losses, and the 1 draw. Actually, they're a bit of a bogey team for England. So if they take on each other in finals, maybe watch this space if they do. So we've got Beniamina Koyatu, Kiana Takarangi, Carol and Taravesi. They are the only 3 players from the previous World Cup to back up in this year's World Cup. There is a lady named Mackenzie Wiki. Yes, she is the daughter of Ruben Wiki. So sign her up. Sign her up. Absolutely. And then keep an eye out for this young woman who impressed a lot of people. There was a lot of raps on her going into the Queensland under-19s State of Origin game against New South Wales earlier this year. We've got Shante Kiriai Raitu, and she was the fullback for the Queensland under-19s women's side, and she impressed me, and she's got a hell of a boot on her as well. Also, 2 other ladies that played for Queensland, represented Queensland in that under-19s game is Lavinia Kitai and April Nagatapuna, and she played for the North Queensland Gold Stars in their championship game earlier this year as well. So I've got a bit of a soft spot now for the Cook Islands, to be honest with you. Now, shifting over to the Australian side. Well, Australia, they are the defending champions. However, they are not the overall best team in Women's Rugby League World Cup history. It is 3 wins to New Zealand, and it is the 2 wins to Australia. And so Australia are looking to even up the ledger up against New Zealand coming up. Hopefully, I don't think there will be a final between those 2 just because they're both in the same pool stage. But anyway, we'll see what happens there. I'll do a little bit more research. So that they were dealt a couple of blows. Penatani from the Parramatta Eels, the captain of the Parramatta Eels, she has ruled herself out with an injury, and Millie Boyle and Tamika Upton also withdrew from the Rugby League World Cup, and coming in for them is Emma Tonagato and Shaylee Bent. So they're some pretty handy replacements, but Millie Boyle and Tamika Upton, they've just about been the best female players in the NRLW, albeit Racine McGregor, who I should have mentioned before, she takes her place for New Zealand as well, big time. She's the reigning Dalian medalist for 2022. So anyway, back to Australia now. Keza Yaps is in this side. We've got Ali Brigginshaw and Taryn Aiken. Ali Brigginshaw being the Jillaroos captain, taking their place in the halves as well. I personally would like to see Avania Politi play out there on the wing, but I think Lauren Brown is going to have her covered. We've also got young Jamie Chapman, who is going to get a game sometime throughout this World Cup. So keep an eye out for her, man. And I think Julia Robinson as well will also be the mainstay out there on the wing. So I think what the coach is going to do is going to go Julia Robinson and Lauren Brown as the wing combination. But personally for me, I'd actually have Politi. I think Politi is a fantastic player who plays for the Gold Coast Titans. And the Jillaroos, man, I just think they are so deserving favourites, not just to win this game, but to win the entire thing. I think they've got such a strong lineup, even though they don't have Upton and Boyle. I think they're going to be just way too good for the Cook Islands and possibly for the rest of the competition up until to the point where they will take on New Zealand and then possibly England. So I'm going to tip the Jillaroos to win this one 20 plus this weekend on Thursday, 6 a.m. Yo, that's it for me, guys. Thank you very much for the support. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Also, please go and check out Hold the Balls channel. I've been doing a couple of live streams with him. and the support towards his channel and towards those videos that we've been doing together. The live streaming of a couple of 3 o'clock and 5 a.m. games would be very much appreciated. So anyway, guys, hope your team wins this weekend, except for the Cook Islands in the Women's Rugby League World Cup. And I'll talk to you guys later. Adios.